You are 22 and the garage smells like solder and instant coffee gone cold. The roll-up door is open 6 inches because the fume extractor died last week and you haven't replaced it. November in Redwood City. You can hear someone's sprinkler kicking on across the street. The thing on your bench is the size of a paperback and it can find a face in a crowd. You did not set out to build a weapon. You set out to build a camera that could survive being thrown out of a moving truck. Because your uncle was a Marine and he told you once, drunk, that the gear they sent him with in 2007 was worse than what teenagers had in their pockets. You were 9 when he said it. You filed it. Now you are 22 and there is a Department of Defense email open on the second monitor and a half-eaten burrito on the first. Your roommate, who is building a dating app, says, "You are insane." He says nobody in the valley wants to touch this. He says you'll never raise. He says it the way people say things when they want to be wrong. You think Silicon Valley is cowardly. You think the smartest engineers in the country are spending their 20s optimizing ad clicks. Because building anything that matters might get them yelled at on a podcast. You think this in those exact words. You will repeat them in slightly different orders for the next 28 years. The DoD email is a 2-line response. Interesting. Send a demo unit. You read it 3 times. You laugh once, alone in the garage, a sharp single sound. You forward it to nobody because there is nobody to forward it to yet. You sleep on the couch that night because the bed feels too far from the bench. You dream about the camera. In the dream, it is heavier than it should be. You are 24. The company has 11 people and a name that sounds like a Greek letter pronounced wrong. The demo unit came back from Yuma with a dent in the housing and a note that said, "More like this." You framed the note. It hangs above the espresso machine. A reporter asks you on a podcast whether you have any ethical concerns. You have prepared for this question. You say something about the moral weight of letting bad people win because good people refuse to show up. You say something about your uncle. You say the word adult 4 times in 90 seconds. The host nods like you have invented fire. Your co-founder, a woman named Priya who can solder faster than anyone you have ever met, listens to the episode in the car and tells you afterward that you sounded good. She says it slowly. You don't notice the slowness for another 2 years. You are 26. There is a Slack channel called Field Reports and it is invite only, and you are in it. Someone posts a video. The video is 41 seconds long. It is shot from above, from one of yours, and it shows 3 men walking along a dry riverbed in a country you have never been to. The video ends the way these videos end. You watch it twice. The second time, you notice that the lead engineer has reacted with a small blue thumbs up. You stare at the thumbs up for a long time. You do not react. You do not unreact. You close the laptop and go for a walk around the block. And when you come back, you open the laptop again, and the thumbs up is still there. And now, there are 2 more next to it. You think, I would have forwarded this to a journalist a year ago. You think it like a fact about another person. Then you make a sandwich. That night you cannot sleep, and the not sleeping feels important, like proof of something. You hold on to it. You think, as long as this still bothers me, I am still the person I was. You are 28. The company is 240 people. You have been on the cover of a magazine. The magazine called you a contrarian, and you liked it, but pretended you didn't. There is a board now. There is a general counsel. There is a man named Aaron who used to work at the NSA and who appears at meetings without anyone scheduling him. The board pushes you out. It happens over a single weekend. There is a thing you said on Twitter, and a thing a customer said in response, and a thing your CFO said to the Journal on background. And by Monday morning, your badge doesn't work. You stand in the parking lot in a fleece you bought when the company was 9 people. The sun is too bright. You can see Priya through the lobby glass. She does not come out. You drive to a diner and order eggs and do not eat them. You spend 90 days angry. Then you spend 90 days reading. You read Girard. You read Strauss. You read a man who tells you, over a long dinner in a restaurant where the waiters know him by name, that competition is for losers. He says monopoly is the only moral position. He says it without smiling. You write it down on the back of the receipt. He becomes something to you. Not a friend, a frequency. You come back at 30. New company. Same idea scaled. You sign a contract with a 3-letter agency in your second quarter. And the contract is larger than your old company's total revenue. You take a photograph of the signed page and you do not post it anywhere. You just look at it. In your phone, sometimes in elevators. Priya texts you, "Congratulations." You stare at the message for a full minute before replying thanks. You do not ask how she is. You are 33. You are sitting in a SCIF for the first time. The room is smaller than you expected. The walls a kind of beige that seems engineered to discourage feeling. A colonel walks you through a slide deck. The deck describes an event that happened 9 days ago in a country whose name has been on every front page. The New York Times has a theory about what happened. The theory is wrong. You learn in this room the actual sequence of events. You learn what your hardware did and did not see. You learn the name of the man who made the call. You walk out into the parking lot and the sun is still up, and you think distantly that you now know something that 200 million Americans will never know, and that you will read their speculation about it tomorrow morning, and you will not correct them because you cannot and because you do not want to. The not wanting is new. You notice it like you would notice a new freckle. That night in the hotel bar, you order a drink you don't usually order. You text nobody. You watch a basketball game on a television above the bartender's head and you cannot remember the next morning who won. You are 35. Your daughter is born. You hold her in the hospital and your hands shake in a way they have not shaken since you were 22. You promise her things, silently, that you do not say out loud because saying them out loud would feel like daring something. You promise her you will not become a man she has to explain. You go back to work in 11 days. You are 37. There is a meeting on a Tuesday. The meeting is about a capability. That is the word everyone uses, capability. That would let your software make a recommendation that a human used to make. The recommendation involves a list of names. The meeting is on the calendar for an hour. It ends in 22 minutes because nobody objects. There is nothing to debate. The general counsel makes a small joke about lunch. Someone laughs. You laugh too, half a beat late, because you were still thinking about the list. You walk back to your office. You sit down. You open your laptop. The stock is up 1.25% on the day. You check the stock before you check the news. You notice this. You note that you noticed. You file the noticing in the same place you filed the thumbs up at 26. The not wanting at 33. The not eating the eggs at 28. The file is getting full. You do not look at the file. You are 39. A young engineer, 24, comes to your office with a printed out memo. He has concerns. He uses the word concerns the way you used it on that podcast at 24. You listen. You give him 45 minutes. You tell him about your uncle. You tell him about the moral weight of letting bad people win. You tell him the smartest engineers in the country are spending their 20s optimizing ad clicks. You watch his face change. You watch him decide to stay. You are good at this. You have become good at this in a way that surprises you. The talk leaves your mouth almost without your participation. You are aware, somewhere behind your eyes, that the speech is 12 years old now, and that you no longer believe most of it the way you used to. You believe it the way you believe a prayer you were taught as a child, fluently, without checking. When he leaves, you stand at the window. Your office is on the 11th floor. You can see the bay. You think about the garage. You think about the fume extractor that you never replaced, because by the time you would have replaced it, you had moved out of the garage and into a real building. And the garage had become a story you told. You think, the kid who built that camera would not recognize this office. You think it as a neutral observation, like noting the weather. You are 41, you are on cable news. The host asks you about protesters outside one of your facilities. You smile and you say the words useful idiots. You say them lightly, as if you were quoting someone else, but you are not quoting anyone. You are saying them, and the host laughs. And the producers in your earpiece say, That was great. And the clip travels. Your daughter is 6. She does not see the clip. Her mother does and does not say anything about it for 3 days. On the 4th day, she says it across the kitchen island, quietly, while cutting a pear. She says, "That wasn't you." You say it was a soundbite. She says, "That wasn't you. You eat the pear." You do not finish the conversation. That night you lie awake and try to find the file, the one with the noticings in it. You cannot find it. It has been a while. You do not know if you stopped filing or if the file got moved. You are 43. The company is public. The company is worth more than 3 of the prime contractors combined. You testify in front of a Senate committee, and the senators ask you questions, and you realize, halfway through the 2nd hour, that you have a higher security clearance than the men questioning you. You realize this, and your face does not change, but your shoulders do. They drop, just slightly, the way shoulders drop when a body decides it is safe. A senator from a state you have never visited asks you whether you worry about the precedent your products set. You say, "Senator, I worry about the precedent of not building them." The room makes a small sound. You go back to your hotel and you order room service, and you watch yourself on 3 different channels. And on 2 of them, you look like a man who knows what he is doing. And on the 3rd, you look tired, and you turn that one off. You are 45. The philosopher investor dies. You go to the funeral. You stand at the back. You do not cry, because you would have hated that. But you stand there for a long time after most people have left, and you look at the casket, and you think about the receipt. With Monopoly is the only moral position written on the back of it, which is in a drawer in a house you no longer live in, with a woman you are no longer married to. Your daughter is 10. She lives with her mother in a different city. You see her on weekends. She is shy with you in a way she is not shy with her mother. You buy her things. She thanks you politely. You feel, for one bad minute, that you are losing her in the same slow way you lost everything else. Not in a single betrayal, but in 1,000 un-flinches, each one smaller than the last. You file the bad minute. The file, wherever it is, accepts it. You are 47. A capability your 26-year-old self would have called a war crime is approved in a meeting that ends 6 minutes early. There is a small pastry tray. Nobody touches the pastries. The general counsel, a different one now, makes a joke about lunch. Someone laughs. You laugh too, on time this time. You have gotten better at the timing. You are 49. There is footage in Dacrom field reports. There is always footage in Young field reports. You no longer click most of it. You used to click all of it. At 26, at 28, telling yourself it was important to look. That looking was the responsibility that came with building. Now you do not look, and you tell yourself that not looking is the responsibility that comes with scale. That if you looked at everyone, you could not function, that the people below you are paid to look so that you can think. The not looking does not bother you. That is the part, when you notice it, that bothers you. For about 90 seconds. Then it passes. You are 50. It is the summer of 2026. You are on a yacht in the Adriatic. The yacht is not yours, technically. It belongs to a holding company that belongs to another holding company that you have a controlling interest in. The distinction matters to your tax attorneys and to nobody else. You are reading a book. The book is about the Peloponnesian War. You have read it 3 times. You like the middle. Your phone is on the teak table beside you, face up, buzzing intermittently. There is a glass of something cold next to the phone. The sun is doing the thing it does on the water in this part of the world, which is to say, it is performing. A feed is open on the tablet propped against the ice bucket. The feed is from a refinery in a country you have never visited. The refinery is secured by a contract that pays your company 9 figures a year. The feed shows protesters outside the gate. The protesters have signs. The signs are in a language you do not read. The phone buzzes. It is your head of operations. The message says, crowd's growing. Press is here. How do you want to play? You watch the feed for a moment. You can see in the lower right of the frame a small clutch of men who do not look quite like the rest of the crowd. They are standing too still. You have seen men stand too still before. You know what too still men are for. You pick up the phone, you type 2 words, keep it clean. You put the phone down. You pick up the book. On the tablet, 90 seconds later, something arcs out of the too still cluster of men. It is a bottle. There is a rag in the neck of the bottle. The rag is on fire. The bottle hits the asphalt 12 feet from a line of cameras and goes up in a soft orange bloom that the cameras have been positioned, apparently by chance, to capture beautifully. The crowd reacts. The cameras reacts. Somewhere a chyron is being typed. Within 4 minutes, the feed shows uniformed men moving into the crowd. The uniformed men are not your employees. They work for a government that has a contract with another company that has a contract with you. The chain of distinctions is long enough that no single link of it can be made to mean anything in a courtroom. Your tax attorneys, again, would understand. Nobody else needs to. The uniformed men begin separating people. They are efficient. They have, you note distantly, gotten better at this in the last few years. Some of that is training. Some of it is your software. You watch for another minute. You do not put the book down. You think about the garage. You think about it because the part of you that is still capable of thinking about the garage has not been paved over yet. Not entirely. And it surfaces sometimes, like a stone in a field after a hard rain. You think about the smell of solder. You think about the burrito. You think about the November light through the 6 inches of open roll-up door. You think about the kid who wrote that DOD email. You think about how he believed, with the absolute certainty available only to 22-year-olds and martyrs, that he was going to be the adult in the room, that the cowardice of his peers was the great moral fact of his generation. That building, the thing, was braver than not building it. You think he was right. You think it without effort. You think it the way you would think about the weather. There is no argument behind the thought, no scaffolding, no work. The thought arrives furnished. It has been furnished for some time. That, finally, is what is different. Not that you have done what you have done. You did most of what you have done years ago, in increments, in meetings that ended early. What is different is that there is no longer any part of you that needs to be convinced. The self-justification used to be a muscle. You used to have to flex it. You used to come home from days like this one and lie awake and run the argument through your head. The uncle, the cowardice, the adults in the room, the moral weight, the bad people winning. You used to need the argument to sleep. You don't need it anymore. The argument has done its work. The argument has built a house and moved out and left no forwarding address. You live in the house now. You don't think about the architect. On the tablet, the protesters are being loaded into vans. The vans are white. The chyrons on 3 different channels are saying the word riot. On a 4th channel, a young woman with a serious face is saying the word false flag and being interrupted by an older man with a louder microphone. Your phone buzzes again. Handled. Markets opened up 2% on the news. Refinery secure. Nice call. You do not reply. You have nothing to add. The reply would be performance, and you are alone, and you have stopped performing for yourself sometime in the last 10 years. You cannot remember exactly when. You did not file it. You take a sip of the cold thing. You turn the page. Somewhere, an engineer who is 24 is watching the same feed and feeling something move in his chest that he does not have a name for yet. He will come to your office in 3 weeks with a printed out memo. You will give him 45 minutes. You will tell him about your uncle. You will watch his face change. You will watch him decide to stay. You will be very good at it. You have been practicing for 28 years. The yacht rocks gently on water the color of an expensive stone. The book is open on your lap. The sun does its thing. The phone, face up, waits. You are the adult in the room. There is no room.